Hi, welcome to the Public Voice Salon. We are a progressive on-air dialogue on culture, politics, and the critical issues of our time. And today we're beginning our show in Bushwick, Brooklyn, with a photographer, Meryl Meisler. And Meryl and I actually met at a gallery in Tribeca, and she showed me these wonderful photographs that she took of Bushwick back in the 1980s. And she's going to share with us a little bit about her art of photography, and maybe start by telling us, what is it about Bushwick that you find so enchanting?
Okay. What is it about Bushwick that so enchanting? Yes. I found myself in Bushwick. I was, I'm an artist, I was an illustrator, I needed a steady job, I got a job at this school. And I arrived, and it looked like a total war zone. In just around 30 years ago, just a week before Christmas. And I literally thought they must have killed the other art teacher. No, I wasn't like scared to go in, but it looked like what's going on here, because it looked like I was in the middle of a burnt out war zone. I entered the school building for my interview with this principal. I don't know if you ever watched MASH episodes where they're in the middle of Korea, and the principal is saying he used to be an art teacher, and he's literally sitting there with a blank paper and a T-square and pencil and drawing his own calendars out. And it was a very absurd situation because it was total chaos. So I took the job. And I am an artist and a photographer, and I knew I was in a very unusual situation, but here I was. This was my job. It wasn't like I knew I'd be here a month, a week, a month, a year, 10 years. This is my job, and I needed this job. But I decided that I really needed to photograph because as artists or photographers who love to take images, it's part of our nature, like breathing. Yes. And the spring before in school, I was threatened by somebody who came in who said they had a gun and wanted my medium format camera. I did not ask to see the gun. I just gave them the camera. So I wasn't going to have that happen again, and this was a much dicier looking situation. So I got one of the first small point and shoots, little plastic cannon, opened up like a bar of soap opening up, and I just took photographs. I photographed things that I saw that interest me on my way back and forth to work. So
drop one of the pictures.
Yes. Okay. And for example,
you want to show this to the camera?
Certainly. We're actually standing here in Intermediate School 291, Roland Hayes, Intermediate School 291, where I taught for 12 years.
Wow.
And this is a schoolyard. I believe this is 1983. And as you can see, the gates are totally ripped open. There's absolutely nothing to do in the schoolyard except for play handball or run around. The basketball hoops were torn down. There was nothing. There was nothing. The school was torn down inside too, but existing. It never finished. And the view from the classroom and from the school was of burnt out buildings. It was this whole city, several city blocks were totally burnt out, abandoned buildings. Wow. And this was the children's lives. This is what they saw every day, but they lived in maybe one building that was occupied, and school was a safe place. I photographed what I saw, and then I also saw change, or evolving change. For example, this building, this scene of kids just hanging out during a gym period, recess. You weren't even allowed off the school property.
Right.
And plus, there was no place to go. Okay, and this was a view outside of a classroom window. Okay. And it was a very happy view. Why? It's April. It's like the week before Easter, Passover break, and everybody worked very, very hard, and it was a freak snowstorm. So this is an April Fool's snowstorm. Okay. So there would be abandoned buildings.
Wow.
And then later on, in the very site, you can see they tore them down, and a new it's called Hope Gardens, a new housing development came up.
Which is right behind us
Right
here.
behind us.
Okay.
Okay, I'd like to tell you, when you said you wanted to meet, I said, oh, well, we should meet in the schoolyard,
Yes.
because that's a big place. A story that stands out in my mind about the schoolyard, besides the fact that sometimes you'd come out here, there'd be a bed. You'd come in here and there'd just be, someone brought a mattress and obviously spent the night reading a newspaper. And it was like, and then the next day the bed would be gone. What brought you back Bushwick?
Yes.
Okay, sometimes in fourth grade, our teachers, we read Candide. And what stands out, it was this Candide saying, this is the best of all possible.
Candide by Voltaire.
Yes, Candide. Okay. And that in this best of all possible world, if I had not been sent to this seemingly God-forsaken place, take pictures that 30 years later, literally, I am twice as old as was here. Am I twice as wise? Was I half as innocent? Did it take 30 years to really be able to look through and understand what they were and saying these little snapshots? Boy, they're very interesting. And who knew they were historical, because nobody else was wandering around taking pictures then. So it's a little bit like Candide, I feel like. Coming back, not coming back home, I feel familiar whenever I get out of the subway here. It feels like this is very familiar. And I still have a student that I'm friendly with, but he's not 12 years old, he's 42 years old. You know, little things. So here we are. Oh, so the story. I had, since I was always taking pictures on my going to and from, and some other teachers noticed, I was the art teacher here, one of my colleagues said, Meryl, we're going to be starting an attendance improvement dropout prevention program. And I see that you liked photography. Would you be interested in setting up a photography program? I said, that sounds great. Sure, I'm very interested. And here I was, we had nothing. If I tell you we had nothing, we had nothing. It was like manna. You'd been going through Egypt on quest for Israel on the tablets, and manna fell from the sky. He said, here, make an order. You have like 2 days to make an order, and I had like $14,000 to spend. It was like a miracle. So I started a photography folder with the children, photographing and learning about their neighborhood. And that work actually got into the Whitney Biennial.
Ooh, wow.
The AIDS timeline about group materials AIDS timeline, and they use these big question marks where the children photograph all the things that were wrong inside the school and their suggestions, because there were hanging wires and unfinished business. So it got into, the Whitney and the new museum, the Dia Art Foundation. It's like, no, you do what you do. You take your passion,
right,
wherever you are, and you make it work, because this is your life, unless you win lotto or something else. and I applied for and was selected as one of 3 art teachers in the country for a National Teaching Award from the Disney American Teachers. And they sent a film crew to come and film my classes in action and working. And the filmmaker who had done some award-winning documentaries, I remember one was about the Beach Boys, he said, well, let's go out, so I had some kids in the yard here and film taking pictures of the neighborhood. I said, that's a great idea. We come out in the middle of the schoolyard, in the middle of the day, and some local youth groups were chasing them around trying to steal their camera equipment. So they were a little frightened.
Ethos here, and what is it that attracts people to Bushwick? I know it's become very chic, or it's become artist, or there's a kind of a vibe here. There's a kind of a creative vibe that even Williamsburg is starting to lose in terms of the edge, because of the rents in Williamsburg are going up, and a lot of artists are moving here. There was an article called The Vanguard of Lights in the New York Times this summer in the art section, where they talked about, there was a woman in Williamsburg who wasn't actually forced to move out. She was comfortable there paying rent, but she chose, because she went to a party in Bushwick. It was on a rooftop, and there were a lot of artists there. She loved the vibe and the feeling, and she said, I would rather live in Bushwick. So that's kind of really what we're trying to also figure out, and with you, and along with your art of photography, let's take a look around the neighborhood.
Groovy.
Okay. Okay, we're sitting in front of a bodega grocery store here with Meryl, and I tell you, it doesn't get any more Bushwick than this. This is about as rough and raw as it gets, and you see this, I think Charlie Rose is going to be very envious of me when he sees this studio we have here.
This is the beauty of art, photography. You seize a time and a space, but this bodega, supermarket, grocery store, it has stayed the same. I think they're the same chairs. And I just wanted to show you one of the earliest photographs I took. I recall where kids at an abandoned building. It's slated to be torn down, and they're just, you know, being kids and giving each other their little manly handshakes. And this little, he must be 12 years old, is smoking. And I hope he quit by now. But I think that's something about photography captures a split second of reality and freezes it, and video, motion pictures, sound recordings, they capture a slice of eternity, and there's something very magical about it. And coming here, it's like I'm stepping into present, future, past. We're in this world, we're in this time, and let's put our best out to enjoy what we have, where we have it. Do you have any comments that you'd like to ask, or questions, or just tell you how thrilled I am to be part of your show?
Tell us how thrilled you are. Yeah.
I'm really thrilled to be part of your salon, because it's very important to hear the voices, see the faces of real people, totally unprepped. I mean, you're getting raw honesty, and these guys don't edit because
Cinema Verte. We have chairs here. I think we should start our salon right here on the streets of Bushwick. And I think this is also a great antidote to the too much prettiness that's happening in the slick real estate world. I mean, where it becomes like too much luxury, you know, and what Reverend Billy calls a sea of identical details. Reverend Billy of the Church of Life After Shopping. This is humanity. This is real. This is a sense of history. And I'm so grateful for you, Meryl, that you photographed this and that you've agreed to be on our show here today. And I hope that we continue this dialogue as we move forward.
And in the best of all possible worlds, I happened to be at the gallery when you walked in, and it was beautiful.
We were meant to meet.
We were meant to meet, and I'm looking forward to your many segments, because you are making a time capsule of what you choose. We make choices every day. What we choose to photograph, who we choose to hang out with, who we choose not to, the marks we want to make on the world. What we put in our body, we're always making choices. And looking back, I chose to photograph the joy and the dandelions and the cracks.
Thank you so much for being with us
my
today,
pleasure.
Meryl.